Hello, and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I'm a Senior Software Support Analyst supporting the Transformation Extender product from IBM. Today's topic is using ITX 10.1 with the H2 in-memory database via the JDBC adapter. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. In this practical demonstration, I will show you how to install and configure the H2 in-memory database software on Windows. I will then create and execute a JDBC-based rule in an ITX 10.1 map within Design Studio to query data in that database. I'm going to start this demonstration on my virtual machine here. I have the H2 software installer currently not installed. It's in the downloads directory, and I got this from the website, the link for which you can find in the video notes. Okay, I'm going to run the installer now. I'm going to choose the standard directory, and I'm just going to hit the install button using no special options. Now that the installer's finished, you will find that the software is installed in Program Files x86 in a directory called H2 by default. Now there's one edit I want to make to the batch file that starts the software, and that's to add the base dir option with the squiggle to say that I want all databases created from my home user directory. Okay, now that's done, I'm going to run the software. I'm going to choose the H2 console option. What this does is it runs the console program in the system tray down here, but also fires up a browser ready for you to connect. I'm going to switch from generic H2 embedded to generic H2 server, and this JDBC URL field here is going to be quite useful later, so I'm going to take a copy of that and put it in my clipboard and paste it into a notepad for further use later on. But for now I'm just going to minimize that out the way. In the system tray, I right click on this option and choose create a new database. So I'm going to create a database called test. The user is SA, and I'm going to put the password in as SA as well and hit the create button. Okay, so the database has been created, which we can see by opening up our user area, and you will see a file called test.mv.db. Using the browser window, I'm going to log into that instance, and here we are in the GUI for the database where we can run SQL queries in this window. I'm going to use this window to create a test table now. Okay, the test table has been created. I'm now going to use the same window to insert a value into that table, one row. And when I execute that, got the name of the table wrong. We've done test. We'll click run, and that has worked successfully. And then we will select the content of that table. And there we go. There's the data being retrieved from the database. So my table is ready. The next step will be to try and retrieve that data from an ITX map. So let's fire up Design Studio now. And then in my Design Studio, I'm going to create a new extender project called H2. Within my H2 project, I'm going to create a simple type tree. I'm going to call this type tree generic. Let's add an item called text item and change it to item down there. From the tree menu, I'm going to choose Analyze Structure and Logic and then save the file. Okay, we have our type tree. Next step is to create a map source. My map source is going to be called test.mms. And then within that I'm going to create an actual map called test1. I'm going to create an output card called out. The type tree I'm going to use is generic.mtt that I created just now, and the object from within there is the text item object. I'm going to write to a file called output.txt. Okay, that's my map ready. All I need to do now is enter the rule for the output card. Now our rule is going to be a get. We're going to use the JDBC adapter, which needs an argument that is the connection string and supplementary options. But after that function, I'm also going to use a LASTERRORMSG function to capture any messages that are thrown up by the execution engine or the adapter. Okay, so our connection string. Let's turn on tracing for starters, with TV for trace verbose. Then we need our URL. Now a URL, as you remember, is stored in this notepad. We're just going to take that entire string and copy it into our rule at that point there. We need a user, which is SA. We need a password, also SA. And then we need to do some additional options that ensure that the JDBC adapter is able to retrieve all of the rows of that table. So I'm just going to put in a -QTY star in there, -LSN of 2, and that should be all the options we need. Okay, so let's save, build and run this map. The map has run and completed successfully. We didn't wrap the get in any kind of valid, so this may have actually failed, but because we didn't wrap it in a valid fail pair functions, the map has completed successfully. But let's have a quick look at our output file and see what we see. Okay, so the output file is telling us that no suitable driver has been detected to connect to an H2 database. Well, we need to fix that right away before we can move forward. If I bring up the program files H2 directory again, you will note that in the bin directory there is one jar file called H2- and then a number that indicates the version that you're running. I'm going to take a copy of that and move it into my ITX 10.1 directory in a subdirectory called extjar. I'm just going to paste that in there. Now the Design Studio should dynamically load that now, and the next time I run my map it should work. So let's build and run. The map has completed successfully. However, you can see that an exception has occurred. What I've forgotten to do is to add my query to my JDBC connection string. So let's add that in now. My query needs to go in between two single quotes, and I'm just going to do select star from test. And once again, save, build and run. The map has completed successfully, and this time the output shows that I've successfully retrieved the data from the database. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video presentation today. If you found the content interesting and informative, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I release content such as this on a regular basis. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. Thank you.